In this video tutorial, we'll be installing the Kadence theme on WordPress and doing some minor customizations to get our site looking great. Let's jump into it. So in our WordPress dashboard, the first thing that we'll do is go to Appearance and then click on Themes. We've only got one theme loaded, which is the default theme. We're going to click on Add New. We're going to go to Search and we're going to type in Kadence. Now the Kadence theme is fantastic. It gives so many customization options, all packed into the theme itself. That includes colors, fonts, and just everything you can think of. Click on Install. Great, theme is installed. We are now going to click on Activate. Our theme is now activated. We can click on Customize. Once we're inside the theme, we've got a couple of options. The first one will be General. This is where we can change the layout, so we can send the content width. Typically, I don't ever change this. The next is we can choose sidebars. So this will be how wide the sidebar is and what kind of spacing it is. You'll typically use a sidebar on maybe a blog page or on a WooCommerce shop page. The next thing is we can set colors. So if you actually go to learn how to use this, how the color palette works is you set your default colors. I've already set these previously. But you can set it to whatever colors you want to use for your brand. And then when we select colors, for example, like the site background, we'll select it from this palette. And if ever we want to make a change, we can change it in the palette. Change this color and automatically all the colors that match that palette will change. Now here we can change the content background to whatever color we want. We can set opacity. There's nothing on this page that we can see it, but if we go to site background as an example, and we set this to blue, also our links we can set here, so you'll see once you hover on this, it will show you the initial color as well as what your hover color will look like. Then we can customize our buttons. So here's a button over here and you'll see the background color. We can change this. Again, we can use our color palette there as well. Now, if you change something within the customizer, you can simply hover on this little pencil icon and then you can go to design and you'll see that specific button, there's an override of the default colors there, and we can now go and override to whatever we want to. Here you can choose the size of your buttons as well, what type of padding it is. So this is the space on each side of the text, and we can add a border to the button if we wanted to. So we simply select the type of border that we want, set the width, and then we can round it as well. So that's your border radius. So normally about 5 is a nice width for a border. Let's go back to our main menu here. We've got next typography. So we can set our font, whatever font we want here, we can set it as. And we can change that for all our different titles. So when you have a post as an example, it will normally be an H2. So we can select the color specifically for that title there. And all the different other titles, as well as our default fonts, breadcrumbs, things like this that you'll see on the screen there, that can all be set in typography. Next we've got scroll to top. So if you want to enable scroll to top, you'll see a little button will appear here. And again, with everything in Kadence, you can just customize it by simply going to selecting the item, clicking on design, and then we can choose from those options, set the colors, and select also the hover color. So if we wanted the hover cover to be blue, there we go. So as easy as that. Border radius again we can set, and all the things. There we go, we've got a border and got a border radius. Okay, the border is not showing because we didn't set the width. There we go. The next thing in the menu here is your 404 page. So when a page is not available, this is the page that your visitor will see. You can customize that. We can change comments. If you want to change where the comments actually appear on a blog post, you can do that over here. You can change breadcrumbs. So if we have a SEO engine, we normally use rank math. We can change that over there and then manage that directly from rank math, how Google picks up all that information. We can also set our social links, and this is quite useful because as you'll see at the bottom here, when we get to the footer, we simply drag our social widget in and automatically all our social links are set up there. Performance, you can enable lightbox for pictures, scroll to ID, so if you want to have menu with anchors, you can do that over there. If you want to load Google Fonts locally, if your site is using Google Fonts, and you can enable preload CSS. So you'll typically use this to speed up your site. This is if you don't have a caching plugin. Caching plugins just make it load a little bit quicker, have certain items load first and certain items load later and all that kind of stuff, just to increase performance and speed of your website. Speed is quite important. The Kadence theme by default is a very, very fast theme, especially when you leave it as default and use minimal plugins. Then when we go to header, we have an option here to set our logo. So this one is already set there, we can go and change it. I've already uploaded content here. If I haven't uploaded, I just go here and drag my file onto there. Otherwise, everything that you've already uploaded will be in your media library. So we select the logo that we want over here, and then we can just go select. So I'm going to skip cropping because it's already the correct size, and there we go, there's our logo. You can change options if you want the logo and a title, or if you only want the logo to appear. You can also set the maximum width of your logo. So if we want to make it bigger, smaller, we can do that over here. Just keep in mind that you have these little buttons here at the bottom. So if we want to do it for mobile, make sure our site displays nicely on mobile. Want to click there and then change it specifically for mobile, just to make sure that everything fits. A lot of people view websites on mobile, so very good idea to optimize it for that. Again, we can go to design here and we can set padding for our logo, so you'll see it moves there. And then we can also set the icon. So the icon is in your browser search bar, the little picture that displays there. Okay, next in the header we've got our navigation. So if you want your tabs to show over here, you're going to have to add navigation. So we can either do that, go primary navigation and then select the menu that we want to use. Now I don't think there's anything already in this menu, so we'll go here, select the menu, you'll see there's nothing, that's why it says add items. So we can go here and we can then add a post. These are just sample posts over there, and you'll see that will now display there. We can also now go into this and then change what it displays as. We can add the home page, so now we have that little home icon over there. So there's our navigation menu. We can go and edit that and choose a different menu, or actually go and edit the menu over there. And here we can now change that and just we'll call it post. Cool, so you can see it over there. It is on the left of the bar, so we want to just move it to the right. We'll just go back to header and then simply drag and drop to where we want it. That looks good. Again, we can go to design, we can change the background here, we can make it a transparent header, so that means there won't be any background, and we can do a sticky header, which means the header will stay in place, so that's already enabled here. Okay, if you don't want that, you can disable it, and it will only show once you're on the top of the web page. Alright, next we've got the footer, and again we can also customize this as we want. So we've got our social, as I mentioned, you simply drag the social widget there, and then you can add all the social accounts, and the links for these accounts you've already set up, but there's also at the bottom here you can go and set your links over there. And then we've got settings like alignment, spacing. If you want the label to show for that social media account, you can toggle that on and off. And then obviously we've got design as well, where we can set whether we want it as an outline or if we want it filled, the icon size, play around with that and see what looks good. Whether you want to use different colors, use the brand colors, or select your own colors over here. And again, we can set borders, border radius, and margin, just the way that it appears over there. Now in the tabs over here, you've got the different rows. So we've got top row, middle, and bottom, and you can customize what each of these look like. So we can set the link colors, we can set the backgrounds, we can do borders on them. So that's all totally customizable. If you want to add a new widget in the header or the footer, we just click on the plus, select which widget we want, and then click on this little gear icon, and then we can go and add a WordPress widget. So you've got a whole bunch of different options here. The best is to play around with them to see what they do. You can add navigation, you can add a search bar, you can add a link to a post, calendar, audio files, or even custom HTML code. Next we've got page layout. So here again we've got all those same settings. You can change background colors, but in general we can also select whether we want these top titles. So on the normal page you have home, or it will show about, or whatever the case. We can disable that for pages, and we can have the content either boxed. So you'll see this little space here, we've got a box content. We can unbox it, and then that changes the look. You can also set padding, top, bottom, so this is automatic padding, and whether we want a featured image in this head title over here, simply select show featured image, and then we can select position. Does it need to be behind the text, above the text, below, and what that featured image aspect ratio needs to be. Next we've got blog posts, so we can again select what a blog post will appear like. So this is the archive page we're on now. So if we go to the archive layout, and then we can select whether we want a title or not, whether we want that in the content or above the content, the container, if we want it full, standard, or contained, alignment, what aspects of this blog post do we want visible. So do we want title visible? Just click that little eye over there, and that will disable or enable all those features. So when we go to blog posts, we can change what single posts will look like or what the actual archive will look like. So that's where all our blog posts appear. We can select whether we want them in the content, above the content, the titles, what width we want the containers, and even what kind of details we want visible on that page. We can also choose our sidebar here. If you remember in the general settings, we were able to set our sidebar and the sizes for that. Sidebar works the same as your header or footer. You can drag in widgets, whatever you want there, a search bar, a widget with all the categories and posts, recent posts. You can do all that kind of thing there. We've got search results, so when we search on the page, what will that look like? Same kind of settings over here. Site identity, so this is where we can set our site icon. So that is the little icon that appears in your browser window, normally on the top left of the little browser tab. And then we've got menus. Again, we can change this from the WordPress dashboard, but we can also change it in the customizer. And then our widgets over here, so it depends on which area you're on. You'll have to click on this little pencil icon, and then you'll be able to add or remove your widgets. Simply click on the X if you want to remove it, or you can go into the settings specifically for that widget and then change its design. Or under general, you can select some more settings, alignment, and so on. And that's pretty much how Kadence works. It's a fantastic theme. It is so customizable. It's almost impossible to go through all the customizing settings in this video. And the amount of different things that you can do with it is basically endless. It is one of the best themes that we've ever tested. It just has all the options that you need without the need for any third-party plugin or anything like that. So definitely consider this theme. Definitely one of the best that we've used. Another one that is kind of similar to this would be Astra, but I find that Astra doesn't even have the same amount of options that Kadence has. Kadence is just fantastic. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope it helped you a little bit customizing your WordPress website. Please subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. Thank you and take care.